If this story were not a tragedy of ignorance among our elected leaders, it would be the stuff of comedy legend. But sadly, it's not, because it's so serious. What am I talking about? Well, Democrats now support a $15 an hour minimum wage nationally. Republican Senator from South Dakota, John Thune, opposes a $15 minimum wage. And he tweeted that $15 an hour is just too much. And his evidence is that back when he was a youngster, he only earned $6 per hour. Tweeting, quote, "I started working by bussing tables at the Star Family restaurant for $1 an hour and slowly moved up to cook the big leagues for a kid like me to earn $6 an hour. Businesses in small towns survive on narrow margins. Mandating a $15 minimum wage would put many of them out of business." Now, John Thune is, of course, either forgetting or ignoring something called inflation. For a moment, forget about a productivity adjusted minimum wage. Forget about a cost of living adjusted minimum wage. Let's just deal with inflation. John Thune is 60 years old. He said, when I was a kid. Let's say that it was when he was 18 years old. My guess is, we don't know what year this was, but we'll say he wasn't 14, he wasn't 16. Let's assume he was actually already 18 years old when he was talking about this, when he was working at the Star Family restaurant. That would put it at 1979, or more than 40 years ago. Merely adjusting for inflation, $6 per hour in 1979 would be $21.62 per hour today. And he's opposed to a $15 minimum wage based on what he earned in the late 1970s. Is this some kind of bad joke? I mean, like, tell me this is a bad dream and he's not really this ignorant. And maybe he's not. Maybe he's doing this because he knows it's his followers that are actually the ignorant ones. Now, I will be the first to admit, I've conceded before. I've talked about this before. There are legitimate questions that can be brought up about a $15 minimum wage in some places. For example, in a state like Alabama, which has no state minimum wage, meaning the prevailing minimum wage there is the federal one of $7.25 an hour. Alabama has a $7.25 an hour minimum wage. Cost of living is really low. It's one of the lowest in the country. There is a legitimate question to think about. If you more than double the minimum wage in Alabama, where cost of living is so much lower than in many other parts of the country, what does happen to a service-based business where labor is the primary input? Now, again, I'm not talking about McDonald's, where labor is not the primary input, but rather it's rent of the facility, supplies, the food. I'm talking about like really a service-based small business in Alabama where they have to more than double what every employee is making. We can talk about that. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to discuss. But John Thune's argument, I made $6 an hour in 1979, so $15 is too much today, even though 6 back then is more than 21 in today's dollars, that's a non-thinking argument. He's making a great argument for a large increase to the minimum wage. He made $6 an hour 40 years ago. The federal minimum wage is only $7.25 right now, and it's 40 years later. If there is ever a better argument that the minimum wage is too low, it's that 40 years ago he made 6 and now it's only $7.25. Now, the more likely scenario is that John Thune does understand this and that ignoring inflation makes his argument ridiculous. But he's putting out an argument that his Republican followers will fall for, merely to sow doubt, which is how these propaganda battles are won and lost. Get people to hear that talking point over and over and over again and repeat it, even if it's obviously ridiculous. Another popular one for the anti-minimum wage people is, listen, if more money is good, why stop at $15 an hour? Make it $50 or $100 or $1,000 an hour. Give everybody $1,000 an hour, and then everybody will be rich. And of course, that ignores that calculating what the minimum wage should be is not just a calculation of what would you like to earn. Oh, you want to make 500 grand a year? Great. Yeah, let's figure that out. No, you have to have a minimum wage that in context is an equilibrium wage adjusted for inflation, cost of living, productivity, etc. And there is no mathematical argument, there's no economic argument you could make for $100 an hour minimum wage. I've not heard anyone advocate for that. So we'll have more about this. My question, which you can answer, find us on Instagram at David Pakman Show, and you can answer there. Do you think John Thune is this stupid, or do you think he knows about inflation and just assumes his followers are that stupid that they'll fall for this? Follow us on Instagram at David Pakman Show. The more we learn about various diets around the world, the more we realize that some of the healthiest diets, where folks are living the healthiest and the longest, are heavily plant-based. And one of our sponsors, Just Egg, is a great place to start. Just Egg cooks and tastes just like real eggs, but it's made from plants. It has less saturated fat, no cholesterol, packed with protein. I've been cooking with Just Egg at home, and you can use it in so many different ways, just like traditional eggs: omelets, scrambled eggs, French toast, banana bread, one of my favorite dishes, pad thai. It also is better for the planet, generating 93% fewer carbon emissions and 98% less water than conventional eggs. You can find Just Egg at lots of grocery stores, Whole Foods, Kroger, Amazon Prime Now, and Instacart. Check it out. Just Egg really is a great product from a company with a great mission, and I'm really glad that they're a sponsor of the show.